One suspicious move from him and we clobber him, okay?
Hi, and welcome back to another video on Winx. I wanted to talk more about the earlier seasons and especially the underrated moments. And we talked about season 1. Season 2 is one of those seasons I did not really think about as my favorite before I did my first deep dive into Winx a really long time ago. Well, like 3 years ago, maybe. Over time, the more I had to go back to the first, few seasons to like pull screenshots for different types of videos, I realized that I really enjoy second season. There's a lot of scenes that we don't really get to see that often in either season 1 or season 3 that are a lot more engaging, especially when it comes to school, the Althea scenes, classroom type of deal. We have some in first and third season, but they're just not as good. Really quick, a lot of the things from the first collection for IDBY, my jewelry brand, we're getting low on stock. This is a permanent collection. However, I can't really promise to you guys the date when the designs will be coming back because it's quite hard for me to buy out the minimum order quantity from the manufacturers. Because I design my own pieces, it means that there's like a certain minimum amount of pieces that I can buy to actually order an original design. So it's always going to be kind of like a hassle in that sense, because especially as a small business, it's kind of the norm. I really want to buy out the next piece. It's not even the collection, it's just a piece, but it's so good and so interesting that I really want to put it out. So I don't know when it's going to be coming back. If you really wanted something for a long time, maybe think about getting it sooner rather than later, unless you don't mind waiting quite a bit. Because if you are, that's not a problem, right? You can just wait.
Can I say something?
Come get a touch of magic.
I want to mention the scene where the girls see Specialist for the first time since the beginning of summer, I guess. There is a little bit of an annoying moment there where Stella's like, "Go, Brandon!
Go, Brandon!"
Slightly cringy lines here and there, but then it kind of works because of how over the top they're being. Stella asking them, "Oh, you came here just to see us?" And Brandon being like,
"No, we came just to see you, sunshine."
Fuck it up, Brandon. Actually, there's gonna be quite a bit of Brandon and Stella here. I don't make the rules, actually. Well, I do. That's why they're here, okay?
And on top of it all, she had on this absolutely horrendous...
Them just like hanging out and Stella saying, "Yeah, do I even have to say anything at this point?" When Techna and Timmy come back and she's asking them like what they were up to.
Techno was showing me how to calibrate the simulator.
Yeah, right. Do I even have to say anything at this point?
She was just really something, honestly. The next moment that I absolutely love that rarely gets any recognition or anyone talking about it in general is the light rock scene with the Trix. I absolutely adore it. It's so funny to see them there, and I really love to see this philosophy of the magical dimension where people are put into monasteries. By people, I mean criminals are put into monasteries and they're trying to reform them. It's really interesting to see two monks or guards talking to each other about the possibility of rehabilitation, if everyone can be rehabilitated.
They'll never be rehabilitated.
Brother, no one is beyond redemption.
And it's quite funny to see Trix in those garments and being forced to listen to calm, easy listen type of music.
And now, back to our music program.
Also, we get to see some supercuts of the past season where the Trix are kind of, reminiscing about the time when they were out and about and causing trouble. Stormy was just like thinking about a bunch of different people, Winx included, that she was fighting with. When it came to Icy, she was exclusively thinking about Bloom. I have never seen what people were talking about when it comes to Bloom and Icy, but in that moment, I was like, oh, okay, so there is material that people could be working with. I just did not realize it before. The next scene is Stella saying, well, if this is such a dangerous mission, why don't teachers go there?
If it's such a dangerous mission, why not send the professors?
Hey.
What?
No.
She's so real for that, first and foremost. I wish these types of things were addressed more often in these types of stories, because definitely why? Why would you send students to do that, and not even senior students? I also really like that they showed them in a simulation underworld. You basically get to see why not everyone is going there and why not everyone's magic is useful underground. It does get kind of forgotten though when we're at the end of the season and they go to Darkar to actually confront him. But whatever. The next one is, maybe it's not strictly speaking underrated. I feel like a lot of people probably remember it and a lot of people probably loved it, but I'm still gonna say it anyway because it's one of my favorites, and it is honestly the whole story with Princess Dementia. Wow. Princess Dementia, Brandon and Stella, but I especially like where they fell into the river and got into the whirlpool, and Stella asks Brandon not to let go of her hand so they like don't get separated, or you know, she's not gonna be left alone going through the whirlpool.
No matter what happens, don't let go of my hand!
Promise!
We get to see them together after, and he kept his promise. My little 8-year-old heart was absolutely in love. I was flabbergasted by how adorable that was. I believe that I mentioned that in the deep dive, but girl, it's been years. It's been like 3 to 4 years since I've made it, so I might be wrong on that one. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. A lot of moments in that episode were kind of iconic, but also funny. Like, for example, this moment with Musa and Riven where Musa starts crying, jumps into his arms, leans on him. God, I don't even know what to call that, but he is such a doofus. He literally goes like, holds up his arms and then lets them go and just stands there. Honestly, rewatching these shows as an adult is just sitting there like, Musa, of course it's just who he is, but also I don't think he likes you that much, honestly. Like, leave him alone. The fact that he sent a guy over to talk to Musa, a guy who had a bunch of pictures of her in his bedroom, and he was like, yeah, go talk to her, tell her you know me, so you can like have like a, you know, kind of an easier time having a conversation with her or whatever. Like, he was literally trying to throw another guy at you. Just saying. Another part of that moment with Amentia and Brandon that I definitely mentioned in the deep dive, it's the moment where she tells him that he's going to marry her, and he tells her, well, I'm an uplander, which is kind of like basically insinuating that I'm not really a good match for you because you're from Downland and Downlanders don't really marry uplanders. She goes, well, a queen can decide whatever she wants. She can marry whomever she wants. It's kind of like their tradition. And while she's saying that, we get to see the statues of previous couples, previous queens with their kings or whatever. And you can see that one of them is a horse. Was that a reference to that rumor that was spread around about Catherine the Great? Because if so...
Oh, that's grotesque. Don't stare.
I don't know. That's funny as hell, actually. In this case, it would be actually not a rumor because he's commemorated in a statue form. That's how much you can do whatever you want if you're a queen in that queendom. And also, it's really, really funny to see her fighting with Brandon at the end when Brandon came back to ask for help with Darkar to get their worm. The worm that like eats through walls or whatever the hell. Aisha is being like, I feel kind of bad that the guys have to fight and I'm just like sitting on the sidelines. Should I also prove something to someone or whatever?
Fairy like you doesn't need to prove anything to us. Would you like some hot tea?
It's so funny and kind of refreshing to see a queendom that has a completely, you know, different system than what we're used to. Trix undercover looks, I still to this day think that those outfits are so cute, especially Icy's. The hair, the jacket, it's such a look.
Where could he have gone to?
They're starting to suspect him. It's specifically because Tekna found some information and a book that kind of told the story of what's going to happen on this day. It is an episode that warns against the dangers of information, how that information can be spread, that it's not easy to prove. Basically being like, be careful with the Wikipedia page. And I love the moment where Musa says, one suspicious move and we clobber him, okay? Clobber?
One suspicious move from him and we clobber him, okay?
That's crazy. Them frying their teacher, basically.
No, Tekna! No!
An absolute mess, and I love it. The next scene is Aisha sneaking into Helia's room to try and find some kind of evidence of whether he likes Flora or not, because Flora asked her to do that.
Oh, thank you, Layla!
It's really funny to see her kind of get in and like read his poetry. Of course, it's a violation of his privacy and whatever. We're not talking about that and about the ethical issues with that, but it's funnier to see her going, ugh.
Your voice, the murmur of windswept trees. Ugh, lame.
Also mentioning that the things that she does to get new friends is crazy. We also get this sleepover scene that's very, very iconic as well. Well, not quite, I guess. It's iconic to me. It's iconic to me. That's why these scenes are here, is because they're iconic to me. I absolutely love that scene. I love that Aisha impersonates Brandon, and then at the end she says, well, and then you, Stella, fell at his feet. And Stella's like,
Actually, he fell at my feet.
adorable, cute, amazing, love them. The next one is the club scene in Gardenia on Earth. It is such an iconic moment. First of all, they went clubbing, they went dancing during the day. Ridiculous. But also they kind of knew that it was ridiculous. They just wanted to go dance, and they knew that they couldn't stay overnight. They didn't really care if they're going during the day or not, but they did have that conversation about people that are going to be there right now are probably dropouts or people who are kind of don't have something else to do during the day, and it's kind of going to be a weird crowd since it's adults who also have nothing to do. And they do get in trouble. They do get in trouble with a whole room of weird, I don't know what to call them, gang members, club members, cult members. They look exactly the same. It's ridiculous. They attack them and also mention the fact that they think that they have magic, and one of the goons from the group are telling their main goon that, boss, I think that you need to stop reading Harry Potter, because you're seeing things and you're coming up with things or whatever. The club itself, the whole scene, and most of all, their outfits. Honestly, I don't think we see those outfits ever again except for that scene, and I absolutely love it. Those outfits slap so hard. Stella, Aisha, and Musa absolutely killing it. It's crazy. You can't tell me nothing. Just look at this. And on top of all of that, we get some really funny moments.
Boss, you're awful cute when you're angry. You idiots!
Oh my god, boss, you're like awfully cute when you're angry. Of course, we have to mention the ninjas from Heraklion. Ridiculous, but also the name. The only important thing here is to mention the name, which is...
They are called P-Force. Huh? P-Force.
P-Force? P-Force. P-Force. I mean, go piss girl, I guess. The classes scene, as I've already mentioned, but also classes at the Cloud Tower. I don't think we've ever gotten to see them before, and I don't think that we get to see them again after either. So it's kind of a very interesting time to see how the classes work at the Cloud Tower. Of course, we gotta mention Dark Bloom moment where she's being basically insane and bullies Timmy and then Flora.
But I'd rather walk on my own 2 feet.
You want me to drop him just like Techna did?
Wait, let me talk to her. Bloom, please, we're your best friends.
Tired of all the fake cutesy heart-shaped little notes you pass to your nitwit boyfriends. You're pathetic.
I don't think that this moment is like underrated per se, but I do think that just the level of sass that Bloom has in those moments is unmatched. I don't think anyone else got as nasty in the show. I mean, I guess the Trix obviously, but like from the main group. Of course, the shopping sequence from the Wildlands. They were like in the city area still at that point, I believe. That moment, that scene, that's kind of like the main scene of the shopping spree, was posted on the main accounts of Winx.
Bloom's just stressed out. She would have snapped at anyone, you know? Even Avalon.
Now why do you think he's on my mind? Hey!
I was just sitting there like, yeah, like that was a moment. Do I still not get what the hell Musa and Ribbon were talking about and why Musa was mad? Well, at the same time, I kind of get it because like he's kind of disinterested, but once again, Musa, I don't know how to tell you, girl, but I think he doesn't like you that much, and you're too cute to be putting up with this shit. Come on now. The outfits by the fire and all of the scenes that are pertaining to them spending time on the beach, honestly very cute, but also at the same time I really liked seeing Stella and Aisha getting closer and kind of hashing out their problems. It was really fun to see them just like hanging out, especially when they were by the fire. The outfits are outfitting. I'm telling you, all of their outfits are absolutely sickening, genuinely ridiculous. Flora looks amazing. And even the guys are serving looks, okay? This is how good that scene is. The guys got something to work with. You know what? Actually, I take it back. Winx have pretty good fashion for men, especially the first 3 seasons. Season 2 being one of the seasons for them, honestly, because those crop tops, and I mean, they were already wearing crop tops in the first season, of course, but we got some new outfits for them, and Brandon's outfits, sickening, because I think that I didn't really love his first season outfit, the one that he wore at the party and whatever. It wasn't giving, but this one, oh my god, I love it. And on top of it all, the outfits were slutty as hell, and who doesn't love that? Like, I mean, if the girls are gonna be in the bikinis, like, give me something. Like, this is, what do you think this is? Honestly, they kind of killed it. It looks great. I loved Riven's outfit. I know it's a like one-piece thing that's a little unconventional, maybe. It's kind of like a wetsuit, right? Loved it. Brandon's outfit, loved it. Sky's outfit, actually liked it too, which is crazy. I'm usually kind of indifferent to his outfits, but this one was giving. Of course, I gotta mention Sky and Brandon constantly saying lover boy to each other.
Once lover boy convinces his...
Which is fair. And you know what? Rewatching this, I kind of realized that I really like the siege of Darkar's castle. Usually, I'm not that big on like aircraft battle scenes. They're rarely really good. They're usually only impressive because there's just so much shooting going on.
Right, no fancy stuff, huh?
But this one is actually so well done. I was kind of surprised. Like, every time I rewatch things from Winx, like early Winx, I feel like the things that annoyed me as a kid stuck in my mind more. And also as an adult, sometimes you watch something and you're like, well, it's a kid's show, so there's some things that are going to be a little bit grating to you as an adult. Obviously, you don't have a lot of patience for those shows, you know, like when they get kind of a little cheesy, it could be annoying or whatever. So whenever I'm rewatching it, I'm like, actually, this has been done so well. The scenes, the audio design was pretty good too. I always forget how well they actually developed the specialists, that they weren't useless. They actually were useful, and it made sense that specialists exist in the magic dimension because there's just so many things that you cannot do with magic that you can do with techno magic or with physical skills, that honestly I was kind of impressed. I was not to be one of those people who are like, oh, but the live action could have been so great, which I am that person. I'm basically the person who constantly talks about that. Sorry. But whenever I remember just how good that episode is and that battle is, I'm always so pissed that we didn't get to see something like that as a live action that's done for adults, because there's so many things that are kind of implied but omitted from the, you know, original show because it was done for children. You can't go too far. You have to be very careful with what you keep in the episode and what you take out. There are just so many good things about it that could have been fantastic for a final battle and whatever, but I do understand why it didn't quite work out. And it is mostly due to the fact that with American-led productions, you have to have a massive, and I mean massive, budget for your show or your movie to look decent, mostly because I don't know what's up with American productions specifically, but they eat up a lot of money. The same amount of money spent by multiple countries working together on like one production in Europe somewhere or in Asia usually goes a lot longer of a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can have a smaller budget, but your movie doesn't look as bad as it would look if you had the same budget. But in America, I feel like they like maybe pay too much to star producers or something like that. I honestly don't know what's going on, why it's like this, but fucking money laundering, I don't know. The show would have benefited from being long, like 20 whatever episodes, and having all of this stuff in it, but I can imagine that that would be extremely expensive because it's basically like Star Wars, like making Star Wars. But wouldn't it be fantastic? Come on now. The last moment is, of course, the party, especially the part where Sky is looking for Bloom and he's like asking Brandon and Stella about it, and he's like, where have you seen the guest of honor? And Stella's like,
where do you think, hot stuff?
Over there. She's waiting for you.
where do you think, hot stuff? I just absolutely love Brandon and Stella constantly flirting, and I feel like they could be a couple that could stay together the entirety of a show and not get boring just because they're so fun and funny. But regardless of that, I know that this maybe also isn't that underrated, but I was talking specifically about the dancing part, not about the big emotional parts of the wrap-up sequence. In any case, season 2 is honestly fantastic. Every time I rewatch it, I think about all the possibilities. The fact that Avalon is basically a creepy teacher who grooms Bloom, and even Sky notices it and comments on it. So it was built, like it was baked into the story, but it was obviously underplayed and kind of some parts were omitted and stuff like that just to make it more kid friendly. There's just so much that could have been expanded upon and made into an adult show or movie that would be really interesting if done well, especially if you rewrite a lot of parts and whatever, because you would have to make it fleshed out and to have like more of an updated and new take on the story, so it's not like redundant. But every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my god, that could have been so good, because there's just so much going on. Especially the Amentia storyline would have been an amazing stretch of episodes in a live action. Can you imagine? Oh, that would eat. I'm happy with the show though anyway, because it's just so nostalgic. Every time I put it on, I'm like, god, I love colorful shit and glitter. Like, who doesn't? And especially it's good to remember that those things, the silly things, exist when you have to be dealing with the nonsense that the world is right now. Anyway, great to talk to you guys. Let me know if I forgot any moments that you think are iconic, that are underrated. Bye.